Now we will change gears to Gang Green and the New York Jets. I like their music better.
It's pretty good.
I like their music better. The New York Jets come off a loss to the Oakland Raiders in the black hole. They go to 2-1. Now they're going to go into Baltimore this week for the first regular season game in Baltimore for Derek Mason, Bart Scott, and Jim Leonard. And I got to tell you, the punch-in-the-mouth style that the Jets have championed over the last couple of years, I don't know where it is, but it's certainly not being shown off at the Meadowlands unless the Giants are playing.
And it's certainly not in that Gang Green defense. 31st in the league against the run. Are you kidding me? I thought this was Bart Scott's defense. I thought this was the best defense in the league, Rex Ryan. They've looked pathetic. And you know why? No defensive line. When you got Mike DeVito starting on your defensive line, you know you got some issues, okay, Mike? That's the biggest issue for this Jets defense. They got a
Not
great
to name any names.
No, they got a I thought I'd point him out. You know, he's that guy you see there. You're like, on any other team, he's not starting. Okay, nothing against Mike DeVito. He's certainly played well, but he's not a great starting defensive lineman. That's the thing. They got a great linebacking core. We know about their secondary. They just need one pass rusher. Aaron Maben has not done anything in a Jet uniform, okay? Vernon Golston is gone. He never did anything, okay? He was the biggest hope that the Jets had on that defensive line. Somebody has got to step up and get some semblance of a rush.
Yeah.
Just pressure. Touch him. Knock him down. Don't even have to get a sack. But your linebacking core and cornerbacks cannot be responsible for coverage and pressure. That's the difference, Mike.
I agree, and more importantly to me than the defense, which has been questionable, and to be honest, the way Darren McFadden is playing this year, I kind of expected to have Oakland run on the Jets quite a bit because Jason Campbell wasn't going to do it on his own. On offense, I don't know what they're trying to do, and part of it, we talked about it last week on NFL Friday, and that is that Sean Green isn't the answer. LaDainian Tomlinson is over the hill. McKnight is also not the answer. And so you're giving the ball to Mark Sanchez to throw 37.3 times per game. I don't see how you win with that. And even though Mangold comes back this week, I don't think that's enough to suddenly turn this team into a power running team.
I think there's some major issues on the offensive line. You got a couple new guys in there. Damian Woody, he's gone. He's working in our business now for ESPN. And I just think there's a really big difference between the way the offensive line played in the first few games last year and this year. I don't put it all on Tomlinson and Green struggling. It's that offensive line. They're not getting that front four pushing them back 5 yards. So really, that's where it starts in the trenches. But with Sanchez, the idea of spreading it out with the weapons you have, that's great in theory. But when you're only throwing to Tomlinson and Keller and not really utilizing Holmes and Burris, then that's when the situation fails. And that's why the Jets are struggling so much. Sanchez throws for a career high in yardage last week. And the idea of him throwing for 37 times would have been mind-boggling 2 years ago when he first came to the league.
And I think at the start of this year, it would also be mind-boggling.
I think so. But they just got to find some way to reestablish that running attack. And, I mean, it was a small part of their game last year, but when Brad Smith came in for that Wildcat, it opened up the defense.
Yeah.
And Joe McKnight's really not giving you that. I know Smith's gone, but that was just an added bonus that really helped Schottenheimer calling that offense. So for the Jets, have to find a way this week against a very difficult Ravens defense to get some running. For that way, Sanchez can actually have some real options down the field and not having to rely on Keller as a safety blanket.
Exactly. And one thing that's worth mentioning, you talk about the Schottenheimer offense right now, and it's incredibly pass-based at this particular point in time. And the problem is that 28 of Mark Sanchez's 70 completions this year have gone to two players. Can you guess which two?
I have an idea. Why don't you tell me?
LaDainian Tomlinson and Dustin Keller.
Yep.
I just need to know, you've got Plaxico Burress, Santonio Holmes on this team.
Did he forget about the two Super Bowl catches, arguably the most famous Super Bowl catches this league has ever seen?
I guess I just don't understand how wide receivers that talented can't get the football when you're throwing it 37.3 times a game.
It's true. I don't think these defenses are that good.
No.
I mean, come on. Burris
No.
didn't touch the ball against Jacksonville. We talked about it last week. Come on.
You had as many catches
Exactly.
as he had in Jacksonville.
We talked about it. Oakland's defense is certainly getting better, but they shouldn't be locking down
No.
arguably two of the better receivers this league has to offer.
Yeah. And regardless of where Burris is in his career at this point in time, and I would agree, he's probably not what he was before he went to prison. A gunshot in the leg will do that. I would say that between Burris and Holmes, you should be able to get, half your passing offense. I mean, they are incredibly talented wide receivers. And to think that LaDainian Tomlinson, who is a 30-something-year-old running back who, granted, has 160 career touchdowns, which is third best all time, and Dustin Keller, who isn't even, I wouldn't even call him a premier tight end in this league.
I don't know about that. I think he's certainly stepping up.
He's finding his way up there.
Sanchez featuring him, I like what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'll put him in that top 10 for sure.
Okay. I'll put him up there.
But I hear what you're saying.
I just don't think, and to be honest, even beyond Tomlinson and Keller, if you add in Green and the backup tight ends and running backs in this offense have caught 43 of the 70 passes completed by Mark Sanchez, which to me indicates he's not throwing the ball down the field enough to open up the running game.
Well, that's the biggest issue right now because he doesn't feel confident going down the field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Burris is skying over defensive backs. The fact that he only has 7 catches through 3 games, that can't happen, okay, Mike? You got to get this guy in the offense somehow. I mean, even last week against Oakland, they're down in the red zone. Sanchez couldn't even complete it to Burris on a jump ball. You got to make that play.
Yeah.
You got to find a way to get your guy the ball. It's not that hard, and you got to execute on that. So this week against Baltimore, who I think they got that great defense, we've talked about it, but their secondary play is not what it once was. Ed Reed's still lurking back there. But this is the type of game that Holmes and Burris need to be a part of, or else Baltimore's going to run the table at home, no question.
I couldn't agree more, and the one thing that I'm looking forward to seeing this week is Aaron Maben, who was released at the end of the preseason, has been re-signed, the former Bills 2009 first-round pick, in an effort to try and get some kind of a pass rush on Joe Flacco and really any quarterback in the league. They'd take a pass rush on Luke McCown right now. Where are the coverage sacks? Even coverage sacks. I mean, you would think there'd be a few that would come from there. Bart Scott or someone would come up with something, but they have 1 sack against Jason Campbell last week, so that concerns me.
It definitely does. And just a quick note on Oakland. I mean, that was a great performance by the Black and Silver. I mean,
they played great.
You got to tip your cap to them.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Bush stepped up in the red zone. McFadden did his thing, but it was really the defense. Let Sanchez throw the ball. That's not going to hurt you. The running game is where the Jets really make their bread and butter. That's where they like to reside on. So really, with Gang Green, they have some big questions going forward. And this is prime time, Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, they're going to be in your living rooms calling this game, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the time in front of America. The Jets, this is a make or break point of their season. Like the Giants last week against the Eagles, I think this is a critical moment for the guys from the Meadowlands to either step up or really fall down in the standings, because the Bills, they're rising up. We'll talk about that in a little bit, and the Patriots are always going to be there. So it's gut check time for Gang Green, no question.
Yeah. One-on-Ones NFL Friday continues. Mike Watts with DJ Sixsmith. And DJ, one thing that irked me this week that came out, and I know you are decently opinionated on the subject, is that Joe Namath, Broadway Joe, has publicly called out Coach Rex Ryan for talking up his team to the point that his team thinks they are better than they really are. Now, DJ, this comes from a guy whose whole career is based around the fact that he called his shot and won the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts on Joe Namath talking down to Rex Ryan?
First and foremost, Joe Namath, this is not 1969, okay? You know, Mike, I hope the Jets just win a Super Bowl so this guy can finally shut up, okay? I mean, he's everywhere with this team. ever since that Susie Colbert interview where he tried to go in for the kiss, I have lost all respect for this guy. One of the best quarterbacks this league has ever seen. But you know what? It's not your place. Rex Ryan, is he a little over the edge in praising the Jets? Yeah. But he's promoting confidence. He's taking the consequences and spinning it positively. And for a team that just got beat down by the Oakland Raiders in California, they need some positive influence right now. And Joe Namath talking to the tabloids and the press, that's not going to help out. Rex Ryan, continue to do your thing because that's what you pride yourself on. Joe Namath, no business talking about this Jet team. You've had your time. Let it go. And I just hope the Jets can win a Super Bowl so this guy finally rests into the sunset.
One guy who comes to mind who is much like Joe Namath in the fact that he is so proud that he's the only person to do something is Mercury Morris from the Dolphins, who pops champagne when the final team, who is perfect, loses. Boy, I bet that New York Giants win was one of the most thrilling in Mercury Morris's life of the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Oh, no doubt.
But I'm going to throw some stats your way on Joe Namath. His career completion percentage, and I know it's a different era, is 50.1%.
Ouch.
He threw 173 touchdowns and 220 interceptions with a career passer rating of 65.5 in 13 seasons. I like how you put it. I hope the Jets win, and this hurts coming from me. I hope the Jets win a Super Bowl so Joe Namath, at age 68, can shut up.
He's getting up there, too. And just a note on those stats, I mean, that's in the bottom tier of what we're seeing today. Dare I say Luke McCown's status? I won't go that low. Joe had a great run with the Jets, no question about that. You can't take that away from him.
Yeah, and it was a different era.
True. But what has happened after? This whole generation of sports fans knows Joe Namath for his off-the-field antics and not his glory on the gridiron, which is unfortunate. But that's the reality when you run your mouth and you get drunk on the sideline, okay?
Oh, Susie Colbert.
Susie. I'm not even – just one note on that.
Yeah.
How do you even bring him on for an interview? I mean, he's
clearly, quote, inebriated.
Yeah, he's visibly inebriated, all right? That four-letter network should have known better. But that's a conversation for another day, Mike.